Welcome back, guys. Goji Boy here, and today I am bringing you a review on the SH Monsterarts Godzilla 2000 Millennium Special Color Version. Let's get started. Here we have our Godzilla right out of the packaging, looking quite menacing. I'm gonna give him a quick little rotation so you can get a good look at the paintwork and sculpt on this guy, which is definitely one of my favorites. So, starting off, I'm gonna look at his head right here. So honestly, I want to say this guy's head is on the bigger side in comparison to some of the other Godzilla figures that I have. It's quite large and just all the way through, almost like a frog in my opinion. But that's what adds to this guy, honestly. I really like the look on his face altogether, and the paint applications are done quite nicely as well, at least on my figure. Of course, I know a lot of Monsterarts figures tend to vary, but this guy has some really nice detailing along the teeth. As you can see, really jagged, almost looks kind of like bloody, but really nicely done. So, one thing to point out with this figure, I want to say he is one of the more slumped over versions that I have for Godzilla. And what I mean by that is, like, this is his neutral pose, and generally speaking, you know, you can get a good upwards looking to the sky kind of pose on Godzilla, but this guy tends to have more like leaning forward posing slash articulation. I mean, his neck alone, as you can see, adds to that. So other than the neutral pose, if you're really trying to get him to look up to the sky, not so much. So with that, his mouth can open and close. His tongue is on a hinge, so you can move that around, have it lying flat, or just like really just like this, just like as he's roaring. Neck articulation, he's got some very nice range of motion, and he does have very nice segmentation throughout that neck. And again, this guy's neck is quite long. I mean, look at it. He really has that nice dip. So ball pegs here, and again the segmentation throughout, and he will have separate portions along his body throughout his chest. So he's gonna have a piece right here, as you can see, wiggling, connecting to the rest of his lower half, and that is gonna allow you to get some nice turns on him, as well as more of that forwards dip. And I don't find it that any of his plates get in the way, which is very, very good. Otherwise, you risk paint rubbing, breaking, etc. But he's got it all. His arms are a bit limited, and I'm going to try to be as gentle as possible. This guy, he is quite old, but I want to say they can move upwards about that much, so not very far on him. They can rotate all the way around. Just trying to be really careful here, and that's why. So he does have, I'm gonna work on the left arm actually, excuse me, his right arm. This one pops out a little easily on mine. He does have rotation and double jointed elbows, as well as rotation right here on the bottom portion of his arm. Hands are on ball pegs, and something to note, he only comes with this set of hands. This is one of those releases that does not come with anything. It is the figure all on its own. No extra hands, effect parts, none of that. He has some nice painting throughout his nails as well, to point out. Moving along to his legs, they can kick out about that far, doing a split tease. Again, trying to be super careful of him. You can rotate far back, there we go, as well as forwards. But you can really do the stomps. You can do it all. His knees are double jointed, right about here, Again, like running, posing, and what have you. But they are. It's just a matter of getting it to come out a bit in order to get that motion going. There we go. This is a floating piece around the calves. This can rotate a little bit as well. Just again, be very careful. And his foot is on a rocker. That way you can get those big old feet moving around. And again, very nice paint work done on the feet. His talons, awesome. And the piece that I really enjoy the most in this guy is, of course, his tail. I want to say every portion of it, every little segment moves, and I mean every single one. It's not like this chunk, this is a chunk right here, this is another chunk. I want to say every single one of these is in itself a movable part all the way up until the very tip, which is insane. Like, the way this tail moves, the way you can just get those nice S shapes on it, forget it. Super cool. And it does rotate as well. You can get it nice and straight. But yeah, this is one of my favorite figures for this reason. I mean, a lot of reasons, but the tail, really one of them. So we're gonna go ahead and bring in 2 other Godzilla figures that I own to keep it simple and show what they look like to scale with him. One of them is one of my other favorites, which is the Godzilla 2000. This guy also has quite a large tail. Let's have him facing forwards here. But as you can see, the head on this guy is just very large, very frog-like. As I mentioned, this one's more narrow, and this one's neck just does not compare to this one. There's a side by side. I'm gonna go ahead and move them over here. Godzilla 2002 also has a very long tail, but it is not articulated all the way up until the very tip, so his stops more along this last portion, but it is still very nice. So this angle, there we go. And we're gonna bring in the Godzilla from King of the Monsters, our Monsterverse Godzilla. So again, smaller head on this guy. The fins on him are also quite smaller when comparing him to 2000 Millennium, as well as just no distinctions between the colors, just all one shade, and a much smaller tail on him as well. As you can see, it does stop quite short. Yeah, this guy has a bit more, like over here. And the segmentation on this one is nice, but really does not compare it to Millennium. So move him away. And with that, let's go ahead and wrap up this video. To sum up, the SH Monsterarts Godzilla 2000 Millennium Special Color version is easily one of my favorite figures in the Goji collection right now. The articulation on this guy is insane. He may have a mold that's 10 years old, but that's not stopping him. He still has it all, as well as the paintwork. The sculpt on him, forget it, even better. The head on him is huge, which I quite frankly like, especially when it comes to this particular figure. His fangs, the plates on his back going throughout his tail, and that tail alone is insanely cool. I mean, you could get some really good posing on it, and I am here for it. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. Check out my Instagram at gojiboy93. We're gonna find photos of this guy as well as many other figures in my collection. Thank you so much. Until next time, peace.